Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the new features unveiled at WWDC. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the new features in iOS 15, starting off with FaceTime. FaceTime's had a pretty big overhaul, probably due to Zoom and Microsoft Teams and other competitors and COVID, everything like that. Apple has kind of made their own changes to FaceTime to make it more universal. So you can now access calls on Windows computers as well as on Android. So now FaceTime has made its way out of the ecosystem. So you can now FaceTime other people on different platforms. Another neat new feature is you can go ahead and watch content with your friends, so you can actually start a movie on your phone and it will share it across the whole call so everybody can actually watch it native on their devices. And something else really neat is you can actually go ahead and stream this to your Apple TV, and you can also stay on the FaceTime call at the same time. So really neat new features. Something else really cool is they've updated the existing AirPods, so you now have spatial audio in FaceTime calls. So whenever people are spread out on the screen, you'll actually hear where they are relative to the display, which is kind of trippy, and I guess there's not much need for it, but it's still nice to have. One of the best features they actually came out with for the new FaceTime update is the new audio noise cancellation, and they actually demonstrated this with a leaf blower. Somebody was talking, and then it just canceled out the leaf blower noise. If this actually works as good as they say it does, this is actually next level for noise cancellation, and it's very impressive. And the final thing they updated in FaceTime was adding portrait mode, so you can actually go ahead and blur out your background. I guess if you have like a messy room or some distracting thing behind you, you can go ahead and blur that out. So next up, we're going to talk about iMessage. Really, there's not a lot to talk about here. They updated some of the UI, they made it a little bit more polished, and they also added this new stack feature. So if you share a photo collection, you can actually swipe through all the photos without clicking on it and without scrolling through them all. One of my personal favorites is the new notifications summary. The notifications overall have been a bit more polished and better organized, and they're still not quite there in terms of competing with Android, but they're definitely better than they used to be. But the notifications summary basically just summarizes all of your notifications that you've missed. Maybe you've been asleep and you wake up in the morning, and it will summarize all the important relevant information in one card. And this is actually really handy, especially if you don't have time to sort of go through everything in the morning, then this can actually be really nice. But in terms of notifications, there's this new focus group system where you can create your own groups, and that will go ahead and block out distractions. So if you create a group for your work, you will get all your work notifications, you get access to your work apps, and your home screen can actually adapt just to show you the things you want it to. And then when you exit that, it will go back to normal. You can create a sleep mode or a working out mode, and they will all adjust. And it will actually go ahead and block out messages from people, any distractions, and you can make exceptions. But overall, it's just a pretty neat way of limiting all the distractions around, and I actually really like it. And it works across all your iCloud devices. So if you turn it on your iPhone, it will go across onto your iPad, your watch, as well as your Mac, and it will eliminate all those distractions. Now, in terms of Apple Maps, they're still not the best. I still have a lot of issues, but they are creeping up in terms of their features and making it better. Still not up there in terms of Waze or Google Maps, but they are adding a lot more things. They're adding transit times, so you can now see your bus times and which bus you need to get. You can also see bike lanes as well as crosswalks on your map. And there's new driving features, including telling you which lane to be in and which lane to exit on. Now, one of my absolute favorite new features that I saw was the new wallet features. You can scan in your ID and use that in any place you need to verify your age, but you can also use it in airports, so you no longer actually need a passport if you're traveling internally in the US. And yes, this is limited to in the US right now, but hopefully it will be expanding to other countries soon. Fingers crossed. Something else really nice is you can add in your hotel room key cards as well as a house key card. So if you have a smart door lock, you can use that to enter into your home. So it's kind of interesting because you kind of don't really need anything at this point anymore. You can get a smart lock for your door, smart lights, control it with your phone. You pretty much use your phone for everything else, and then you can go ahead and add your car key, your hotel room key. You can add your ID. It's going to be to the point where you really don't need your car keys, your wallet. You can go out with your pockets free and just carry your phone. Now, something everybody is ranting about is the new live text feature. Yes, Apple kind of did get inspiration and maybe copy Google. Android's had this for a while now with Google Lens. But honestly, as long as we copy the good stuff, then it's a win-win for both sides. And honestly, the new live text is really cool. So built into the camera and the Photos app, if you take a picture of something, you can go ahead and actually just copy it straight from the picture. And it's much more intuitive than it is on Android. You just simply go ahead and drag or hold, and it will go ahead and pop up with a menu. You can easily make phone calls directly from numbers in pictures, or you can select an address or copy some text, or even translate. There's also the ability for facial recognition and detecting animals and different breeds of dogs, things like that. So it's really creeping up there in terms of Google Lens territory, but it's Apple's own version. Apple's really taking it seriously when it comes to app privacy. There's a new app privacy menu, and you can monitor when apps requested permissions, when they made use of those permissions, and all the information they kind of have about you. So for privacy, iOS is definitely up there in terms of the best. Something really neat about Siri, yes, it's not the best, but they are improving it. They're adding more features. They're making it more friendly. And I really do like the new voices. The new voices are so natural. It almost feels like talking to a real person. And Apple has now unlocked Siri to third-party developers. So you can now put Siri into your smart home devices or your third-party speakers. And in iOS 15, Siri will actually work offline, so it's much quicker and more secure, and it won't always need to query the server for everything, so simple tasks can be done locally. For all of the iCloud Plus users out there, there's some new features including Hide My Email as well as iCloud Relay. It's just a more secure way of viewing your emails. You can go ahead and send emails without them knowing it's from you, and when you open emails, it removes the tracker so they don't know you've opened it. So it just overall makes it a lot more private. So now we're going to jump into iPadOS, and although it's not the most exciting thing, there's some still pretty cool features that Apple did bring to the table. We're still waiting for some more powerful things, some more pro apps, and making it a little bit more like the Mac, which I personally think Apple will do. But where Apple is working on really hard is the multitasking. They're just trying to make it so much more intuitive and fluid. And now in the app switcher, you can actually drag windows on top of one another in order to jump into split screen. And there's also this new pop-up menu in the middle at the top of every single application. And that allows you to click it and open up a split screen application. So it will actually move the window to the side, and you can select an app on the home screen to jump to the other side. So I've seen this a lot on Samsung devices and Android devices in general. They have this kind of split screen menu. So I guess it's kind of nice Apple did this. They, again, copied like a few other things, but they kind of made it a little bit better. Widgets can now be added to your home screen and moved anywhere rather than just the Today menu on the left-hand side. And honestly, the grid system is kind of weird now. If you hold your iPad in portrait mode, it's only 4 apps across, and like the widgets don't really fit into place. So to me, it just looks a bit off. Maybe they'll change it before final release, but I highly doubt it. Now, Apple has finally brought the app library to iPad. For some reason, they never did this last year with iOS 14. I'm not too sure why, but they've now brought it over to iPad. It works the same as on the iPhone. There's a button to access it in the dock, and yeah, you can have less apps on your home screen, make it less cluttered, and then when you need the other apps, they're still there. Now, if you have an Apple Pencil, you can drag in from the bottom right corner and open up a quick note. This allows you to drag in any links that you're looking at on a page and also just quickly jot down a note, and it will go ahead and save that. But we're still waiting on more powerful things coming to the iPad. Hopefully with next year's update, or even sooner than that, there could be some new minor updates which bring some pretty big functionality, but I kind of doubt it honestly right now. So now we're going to dive into macOS 12, starting with universal control. So with the new iPadOS 15 update, you can now drag your cursor from your MacBook over to your iMac, over to your iPad. So you can switch between all devices, and you can actually move the mouse cursor between screens. So if you have your iPad right next to your MacBook while working, the Bluetooth will tell the MacBook which side it's on and if it's close, and then you just go ahead and drag across your files, move your mouse cursor, any links, and it will just go seamlessly onto the other device. And something finally they have is AirPlay for Mac. So if you're watching a movie on your iPhone, you can finally stream it to your iMac or your MacBook Pro. And this is especially handy if you have a Mac Mini plugged into some form of TV or display, because it now means you don't need an Apple TV, you can just stream directly to it. In terms of a lot of the iOS 15 features, they are coming over to Mac now. So you have the new updated FaceTime app with the new SharePlay. They've also brought shortcuts over to Mac, and they're just kind of making the boundaries closer and closer together between iPad and Mac. And I really like that. I really like the closeness that they have together, so you can almost use them side by side rather than using them as separate devices. So there's just a little bit of an overhaul, some new wallpapers, touching up of things, better optimization and efficiency. And then there's also a new Safari app, which is, again, tiny bit faster, and you have a little bit of a redesign here. So you've got like these sections and tabs and tab groups, so you can actually have all of your tabs grouped together. So if you're looking at travel, like say holidays, you can go ahead and group them into one tab. If you're looking at gaming, you can group that together. And same with food, whatever it may be, they'll all be grouped together. And it really helps you manage when you have a bunch of tabs open. And Safari has been updated on iPadOS as well, so you can now get extensions, and it kind of looks like the macOS version, so again, narrowing the boundaries. And then on iOS 15, they've actually moved the search bar to the bottom now, so kind of a new design going on, but again, you also have extensions. And finally, I want to talk about WatchOS 8. So I love my Apple Watch, and I cannot wait to get this new update, purely because there's a couple more watch faces, and those new watch faces actually use portrait mode from your iPhone in order to detect the depth between your foreground and your background, and it places a digital clock behind you. So behind your subject, you will see a clock. This creates some really nice custom watch faces, making use of your photos. So I honestly really can't wait for this feature. There's not really too much though on the Apple Watch in terms of updates. There's only really the new focus modes brought across from the iPhone, and then you have some new health modes and fitness tracking, but other than that, it's very similar. Anyway guys, that is pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed my overview of some of the new features for WWDC. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'm also going to be doing a video on how to install iPadOS 15, iOS 15, and also macOS 12. So stick around for that, check out my channel for new videos. Thank you for watching. Peace.